When this World War II submarine was discovered, it was not empty. The hatches were sealed, the controls were still in place, and the crew never escaped. What investigators found inside shocked everyone. This is the story of a tomb sealed for decades at the bottom of the ocean. A story of quiet courage in the face of the inevitable. World War II was not only fought on land and in the air. Beneath the ocean, a silent, brutal war was waged. Submarines, the ghosts of the deep, carried out missions far from any support. They were steel predators, hunting in packs, but they were also incredibly vulnerable. There was no backup, no rescue. If something went wrong, hundreds of feet below the surface, surrounded by crushing pressure and freezing darkness, there was no way out. The men who served on these boats knew the risks. Every dive was a gamble. Every creak of the hull was a reminder of the thin steel wall separating them from a watery grave. The psychological toll was immense. Claustrophobia, constant tension, the ever-present danger. It forged a unique kind of soldier. They lived and worked in cramped, suffocating quarters, sharing the same recycled air, trusting their lives to their captain and to each other. For the crew of one particular submarine, their final mission would become an enduring, haunting legend of the deep. Their story wasn't one of a fiery battle, but of a slow, silent descent into eternity. Decades after the war ended, long after the world had moved on and the great battles had become pages in history books, a mystery still lingered beneath the waves. A lost World War II submarine, the HMS Urge, which had vanished without a trace in 1942, was finally located off the coast of Malta. For over 70 years, its fate was unknown, a ghost ship lost to time. Then, in 2019, a marine archaeology survey team found it, resting upright on the ocean floor, almost perfectly preserved in the cold, dark, undisturbed depths. The initial images were chilling. The hull showed signs of significant damage near the bow, consistent with hitting a naval mine. But crucially, there was no evidence of a catastrophic implosion or a massive explosion that would have destroyed the vessel instantly. This meant the submarine did not sink in a fiery, violent moment. It descended slowly, deliberately, carrying its crew on their final, one-way journey to the abyss. The discovery was monumental, not just for finding a lost relic of the war, but for what it was about to reveal about the final moments of the 44 souls on board. The ocean had held its secret, and now it was time for the world to learn the truth. What they found inside was even more haunting than the discovery itself. With the submarine declared an official war grave, physical entry was forbidden. Instead, high-tech remote cameras were carefully sent through the damaged sections, becoming the world's eyes into this sealed time capsule. The footage that came back was surreal. It was as if time had frozen. Control panels were still intact, levers and dials exactly as they were left. Personal belongings were visible, scattered in the orderly chaos of a working vessel. Bunks were still made. Equipment and tools lay where they had been set down. Everything suggested the crew was still at their stations, performing their duties. The cameras panned through the cramped corridors, revealing a scene not of panic, but of chilling stillness. Then came the most profound and disturbing observation of all. There were no signs of desperate escape attempts. The main hatches were never opened from the inside. They remained sealed. This single detail told a terrifying story. It means they knew. They knew there was no escape. They knew their fate was sealed the moment the mine struck. The realization is a difficult one to comprehend. After the initial impact, the submarine would have begun its slow, inexorable descent. The lights would have flickered, then died, plunging the crew into absolute darkness, broken only by the faint glow of emergency lamps. The air, already stale, would have become thick and unbreathable as oxygen levels plummeted. They would have had only hours, at most. The crew, highly trained and disciplined, would have understood their situation with terrifying clarity. They would have felt the increasing pressure outside pushing against the hull. They would have heard the structure groaning and creaking, the tortured sounds of steel surrendering to the crushing weight of the ocean. In those final hours, there was no panic recorded, no chaos, no frantic scramble for an escape that didn't exist. There was only discipline and silence. The archaeological evidence suggests they remained at their posts, in their duty stations, facing the end with a courage that is almost unimaginable. The captain in the conning tower, the engineers in the engine room, the sailors at their posts. They stayed together, as a crew, until the very end. They met their fate not with a scream, but with a silent, unified resolve. This submarine, the HMS Urge, is now and forever will be considered a war grave. It is the final resting place of its crew. Out of profound respect for these men and their sacrifice, no attempts were made to recover the bodies or disturb the site further. It remains sanctified ground, a memorial protected by the sea itself. For the families who waited a lifetime for answers, the discovery brought a painful but necessary closure. Their loved ones were never recovered, but they were finally found. They were no longer lost to the vast, anonymous ocean, but had a known, honored resting place. These men represent the countless thousands who served in the submarine services of all nations during the war. They were volunteers who chose one of the most dangerous duties imaginable, and they paid the ultimate price, often in circumstances we can barely fathom. Their memorial is not one of stone or bronze, but a steel hull resting in the silent deep, a testament to their unwavering duty. The ocean kept their secret for over 70 years. It guarded their story, preserving the scene of their final, courageous moments. Now, the world knows. It's a sobering reminder that not all battles end in fire and fury. Some end in silence, in the cold, crushing darkness far below the surface of the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this story meaningful, please consider subscribing for more true stories from history.